Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email me at tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a late 2021 release for the 2022 model year, a 230-piece limited edition in grade 5 titanium. This is the Girard-Perregaux Laureato Absolute TI230, celebrating 230 years since the original roots of the Girard-Perregaux company, as well as 230 years since the discovery of titanium, which took place that very same year in 1791. Now, the watch is 44 millimeters in diameter in grade 5 titanium, 14.9 millimeters thickened from lug tip to lug tip, 53.3 millimeters is the total distance across the wrist. This watch had a sibling, also a TI230, with a blue gradient dial. This one has the gray gradient dial. Initially, they were offered for sale at Vempe, but it was not a Vempe exclusive. So if you see a different name on the warranty card, don't panic. Now, the watch wears nicely on a smaller wrist, better than a Royal Oak Offshore. If you told me this watch was a 42, I would nod my head, because a 44 millimeter Royal Oak Offshore is too big for my wrist, but this 44 actually wears maybe 2 sizes smaller than that. It easily wears. You can see the lugs are really nowhere near the edge of my wrist, and the downward thrust of the lugs really assists with the fit on a borderline wrist. It's flat enough to fit underneath most cuffs, really under 15 millimeters thick with a little bit of a sloped and stepped case blank. It's surprisingly compatible in that regard, and as light as it is, all rubber, sapphire, and titanium, I would say this watch would fit and wear well on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference, and I'd often say that on a 44 millimeter watch. I don't often say that a 44 millimeter watch wears this light on the wrist either, as being titanium, it is feathery. Now, the strap is a fascinating piece. FKP rubber is supposed to be more durable and pliant and flexible and supple, but it has also been injected with a pumice of powdered titanium. Now, what practical advantage this brings, I can't quite say, though sometimes from some angles it does appear to have a little bit of a silvery shimmer. More obvious is the contrast between the gray stitch and the rubber. We have an embossed textile pattern. The whole thing is rubber, and as you can see, it tapers. It has the same look of integration as though the watch were on an integrated bracelet, and the original Laureato was created in 1975 as one of the original integrated bracelet sports watches of the era. Now, whether the watch is on a strap or a bracelet, the taper of the case into the lugs into the strap is continuous and fluid. There's no abrupt break between them. Laureato Absolute, which we have right here, is to the Laureato line what the Royal Oak Offshore is to the Royal Oak line. So bigger, more wrist presence, sportier, and then, of course, more durable. We have here a brand new Girard-Perregaux factory rubber strap, and it's paired with a matching titanium clasp. And you can see the titanium, like the case, is a combination of media blasted and polished. And this is all grade 5 titanium. Grade 5 is the good stuff. It's hypoallergenic and light like grade 2, but unlike grade 2, it's more scratch resistant than most stainless steels. That's a big advantage. Now, this is a single fold twin trigger clasp. Press both triggers, it pops open. One is not enough. It's quite secure on the wrist. Internally, you can see there is a push button slider, and then when you push the slider button, you can actually move this little pin lock in and out. This is what actually holds the strap, and you can fine-tune the fit just in case you are between sizes, between the holes, so to speak. That little push-button slider gives you flexibility. Now, you tuck the strap into and under the clasp, so once it's buckled down and sized, all the excess length hides underneath the clasp body as well as the strap, so it's very clean, and there are no minder loops, so you don't have any excess length or minder loops visible. This is what a minder loop is. This watch doesn't need them. Now, the case features a combination of polished accents and media blasting, and what I like about media blasting is that if you do get it scratched, when it goes back to be refinished, as long as it's not deeply gouged or dented, it can just be blasted again, so refinished without removing material, which I love. Screw down crown, 300-meter water resistance. The crown has a rubber shoulder, and you can see that we have the shape of the bezel echoed in the shape of the crown. So the Laureato bezel shape, one of the two iconic design elements at Girard-Perregaux that recur across their model line, another one being the Golden Bridge, or the bridge from the Three Golden Bridge tourbillon. You could see that bridge up at 12 o'clock. It's the logo of the company. But then one half the bridge acts as the counterweight for the seconds hand, as well as the general shape for the hour and minute hands. Now, 300 meters is not 1,000 feet. Girard-Perregaux, one of the few companies that acknowledges that, with a fairly accurate conversion of meters to feet. Rolex would just write 300 meters, 1,000 feet. Not so. GP is at least trying to get close. Other things to note, this is a sandwich-style dial, so you can see it's a stencil with polished elements placed underneath to create these little wells that have mirrored bottoms, somewhat like a Panerai dial. We have a concentric brushed anthracite chaptering outboard that visually unifies the bezel with the dial base. It's a fumé fade dial, so gray at the center, almost black at the edge. There were 230 additional pieces in this TI230 series that have a fumé fade blue dial. And then you can see, if you look carefully, that the hands are nicely detailed. Black polished on their outer facets, but then satinated across their top. And of course, there's no shortage of luminescence. This is a true sports watch. Now we do have two subsidiary setting modes. We have, once you screw out the crown, a hacking seconds function, so you can stop the seconds hand and set the watch to a reference time. There's also a quick set, so you can rapidly cycle the date if you need to. One of the reasons the watch is so thin is that it actually has a solid caseback. Solid caseback watches are thinner than display caseback watches. So underneath there we have a Girard-Perregaux caliber 3300. It's a thin, fine, nicely finished, high horology automatic, a unidirectional winder with a 46-hour power reserve. It's got the stop seconds, the quick set date, a 4 hertz beat rate, and though you can't see it, rest assured it is nicely finished to a degree that frankly surpasses the hand finishing you'll get from the likes of Jaeger-LeCoultre or Audemars Piguet, which are peers to Girard-Perregaux. GP does the 3300 and the senior 1800 calibers, both quite artisanally, which means when you see a bevel and it's mirrored, it's the real thing, among other refinements. So reach out to me, Team Mosso, at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.